Hello, fourth graders. Welcome back to math class. Today is an exciting day in math class because you finally get to use this, which is called a protractor. This was in your folder, so you might have to go search for it, but this will be pretty fun to use, so you might want to get that out right now just so you can look at it. So what a protractor does is it measures degrees. Every angle, and remember an angle is two rays together, so that's an angle. Here's an angle. Remember that one's an acute angle. This is a right angle, and this one is an obtuse angle. And remember that with a right angle, we talked about it has this little symbol in it that reminds you that it's a right angle. And also you can put a piece of paper in and the corner fits up perfectly. So it's a perfect corner in a right angle. So an angle measures the or a protractor, when we use it, measures the amount of degrees that are in the angle. It's measuring this distance. So this angle right here, it's a really, really stretched out kind of angle. It has 1 degree. So this little distance right here is 1 degree. Whereas this angle measures 5 degrees. See, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees. It's just kind of like if you think this was the ground and this was a ramp. So the more degrees there are, the faster a ball would roll down the ramp. So the degrees are kind of like the distance that the floor is from the ground. So the symbol for degrees is a small raised circle. It looks like this. So write the measure of the angle above as 5 degrees because we said that it is 5 degrees. So it's kind of like when you talk about the temperature and you say it's this many degrees outside, that is how you write the symbol degrees. So like that would be 6 degrees. So that you don't have to write the word degrees every time. You can just write 7 degrees, just a little circle. All right, so a right angle, like we talked about here, a right angle has a measure of 90 degrees. Always, always is 90 degrees. So here's our angle, and this distance is 90 degrees. A straight angle, which we talked about when you guys did that IXL skill, is 180 degrees. So that is a straight line, and when we measure it, that is 180 degrees. And then if you look at an entire circle, that is 360 degrees. Now let me kind of show you what I mean when we get to use our protractor. Here we go. So like I said, it's a tool that's used to measure angles in degrees. So this protractor is showing that angle ABC, here's our angle ABC, measures 90 degrees. So how a protractor works, if you want to get yours out real quick, let's see, maybe if I hold it like this, you can see the numbers. If I hold it like this, there we go. Now you can see the numbers. So when you use your protractor, you are always going to be looking at these inside numbers, okay? There is a way that you can figure it out so you can use the outside numbers as well, but I really don't want to confuse you guys, especially since I'm not in the classroom with you. So you're always going to use these inside numbers here, okay? And how it works is if I have an angle that looks like this, I know those aren't perfectly straight rays there, but if I had this angle, what I would do is you'll see that there's a circle right at the bottom of it, kind of in the middle bottom. You would put that circle where the vertex of the ray is, and then you would line this line up with the bottom part of your angle, and then you'd follow this line to wherever it stops at your numbers. Remember, you're looking at the inside numbers, so don't pay attention to where it stops up here. Pay attention to these numbers, these ones on the inside. So this angle would be just about 60 degrees. It's a little less than, but we'll just write 60 degrees. Now here's what I want to challenge you to do. Every time you measure, whoops, dropping my pen. Every time you measure an angle, you should think to yourself for a second, does that make sense? Does it make sense that this angle would be 60 degrees? Well, if I know that a right angle is 90 degrees, And this is an acute angle. Remember, an acute angle is one that is smaller than a right angle. Yeah, that would actually make a lot of sense because 90 degrees is my right angle and acute angle is smaller. So 60 degrees would make sense. All right, I will show you more of how to do that though. So if we use that method, if we take our little circle and we put it right on the vertex and we line this line up. See, if I put it on the vertex, I can't just go off like that, right? This line on your protractor has to line up with that bottom line of the angle. Then I need to follow this line and see how many degrees it is. Well, here's the issue. I can't really tell how far up it goes. So what you want to do is take your protractor, draw a longer line. Oh, kind of follow that line, go a lot longer, and then it should work for me. So going right on that vertex, lining my line up. And you can see it goes right to that number 70. So this one is 70 degrees. Okay. Now, here is the point that I really need to make for you. When you put that dot on the vertex, your angle needs to be going out to the right. So see how when I put the dot on my vertex, the angle is actually going out to the left? That's not what I want because we haven't really learned yet how to understand all these numbers and yeah. So what you need to do is when you put it on the vertex and you're lining up this line right here, see this line that I just colored green a little bit? It needs to be going out to the right. So maybe even if you need to, I don't mind if you guys draw on these, you can draw with a marker or a highlighter or something to remind yourself that whenever you're measuring, your line needs to be going out to the right. So you put that vertex on and then your line goes out to the right. So I might turn my paper just a little bit so that it makes a little more sense to me. My line is going out to the right. I have my vertex. Oh, but again, I can't really see it. So I have to draw my line a little longer. And then I'm going to go back, put my dot on my vertex out to the right. And we have 110 degrees. Remember, I pay attention to these inside numbers. It's 110 degrees. Now, does that make sense that that would be more than an angle that's 90 degrees? Yeah, it would, because see, if this angle had been 90, it would have been like right here, because that's a perfect corner. But it's bigger than that, so it's 110. Oh, and I forgot to put down here. That's where we were actually supposed to write how big it is. All right, here, this might be a little intimidating because that doesn't look like an angle that we've normally seen. And if I start trying to put my dot on my vertex, okay, well, I've got the dot on my vertex and I'm going out to the right, so I must be good. But there's nothing for me to measure. See how there's no line now for me to measure? So I didn't do it right. What if I try putting my dot there and measuring out to the right? Oh yeah, now there's something for me to measure. But I've got to make my line longer because I can't really see it yet. There we go. Now let me try again. I'm going to put my dot on my vertex. I have my line going out to the right. And now I can see when I pay attention to the middle number, these middle numbers here, not the outside ones, the middle ones, I can tell it's 30 degrees. All right, we're going to do one more here. All right, I put it on my vertex, and hopefully you realize what I did wrong. What I did wrong was my angle is not going out to the right. Remember, I highlighted this part. It needs to be going out that way. So I guess I need to move it, and there we go. It's on my vertex, it's out to the right, and I can measure this. So I'm going to make my line longer again. And there we go. When I look at my inside numbers, it's 150 degrees. 150 degrees. I'll show you that one more time. See how it goes out right up to 150. All right, this asks us to sketch an angle, which we're not gonna go all the way because I don't want this video to go too long, but a 90-degree angle you should totally be able to do just by following those lines, because we know that in a 90-degree angle, it's just a corner. Now, a 45-degree angle, we have to use our protractor for. So I'm going to make one line nice and flat. There's my vertex. And then it needs to be 45 degrees. So when I go along here, I have 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. I'm going to put a dot right there where 45 is. Okay? Now, I'm not totally done. What I need to do is draw my other ray in my angle. So I'm going to connect the vertex to that point, and then I'll make sure I draw an arrow to show that that's 45 degrees. Now, if you're not positive that you did it right, you can measure it. You can put that dot on the vertex, and this, I did it right because it's pointing out to the right, right over my highlighted spot. And yep, it goes right to 45 degrees. Perfect. All right, we're going to skip those two for now. This one asks us to look at these figures and name one right angle in each figure. So remember how to name an angle. You draw this little angle symbol, and then you say MRK. There is a right angle, and I know it's a right angle because it has this little square. What about here? This is a right angle. I could call it IAO. I'm going to do that, IAO. Or I could have called it OAI. You just have to make sure that that middle number is where the vertex is. Same here. R was our middle number. What about a straight angle in the figure? Well, remember that a straight angle is one that measures 180 degrees. It pretty much just looks like a straight line. So in this figure, BRK is our straight angle. And in this figure, UAI is a straight angle. All right, and we are gonna stop it there because this video is getting a little long. We may have to go back to those problems at some point, but not today. All right, this is your homework that you are going to be doing. You are going to use a protractor to find the measure of each angle. If you feel like you don't completely understand how to do that yet, here are the two things you can do. Well, my hand looked really big. Two things. One, you can ask a parent for help because they probably remember how to do a protractor from school. Two, watch the video again because if you try it yourself while you're watching the video, it might make it a little simpler. But I'll do the first one with you. Remember that when you put that dot on the vertex, this line needs to go towards the right. I know I'm doing it wrong if I put it this way because that line is going out to the left. But I'm doing it right if I do it this way because it's going out toward the right. Now, I can't really tell where that's going, so I need to draw an extra line. And you can totally do that on your homework. Don't feel like you have to erase it or anything. I'm obviously not. And that looks like it's about 60 degrees. See how when I'm looking at the inside numbers, I can see 60 right there? So all you have to do is write 60 degrees. Okay, you're going to do that for those ones as well. Then you need to draw an angle. I will help you with the first one. You're drawing an angle that measures 75 degrees. So what I would suggest is always draw your, just go ahead and draw your first line. Doesn't matter how or where you draw it. But then say, okay, that's going to be my vertex. I know that this needs to be pointing out to the right, just like it is, perfect. And it needs to be 75 degrees. So look at these inside numbers, find 75 and put a dot there. And then you're going to connect the vertex and that dot. There we go. That is 75 degrees. So you'll do that same thing when you measure 150. You'll have your line, and then you'll have to find all the way to 150. Okay? You may skip number 7. Number 8 you can definitely do. This number 2 is going to use some multiplication, so you are going to have to do, never mind, it's not going to use multiplication. You're not even going to need to think about the 12 minutes necessarily. You're just comparing the fractions 2/3 and 2/5. So which one's bigger? All of this is a review from the past few days, and then you may skip number 7. Please let me know if you have any questions. You guys have got this. I'm proud of you.